体何をしていたのだ。おわっ、なんだこれは。誰のモビルスーツだ。おわっ、
申し訳ありません。キャラスー様のご命令で。
何、あの女モビルスーツに乗るのか。キャラスーン、いや単なるレポーターではなく。
いや、できればモビルスーツには乗りたくない。
だったらこんな大きなモビルスーツを持ち込むな。組み立てる方も大変だろうが。
私モビルスーツに乗ると興奮して疲れちゃって好きじゃないんですよ。
それなのにパイロットをやっている。おかしいじゃないか。
女って複雑だから。
お前が複雑なんだ。まあいい、ゼータガンダムごときこのマシマー一人で十分だ。今の言葉しっかりと記録してハマーン様にお見せしろよ。
マイク切れてます。
可愛くないなお前は。
Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the high-grade R-Jarja. And starting off, as always, with the articulation. Head is on a barbell joint, so it can look up about that far, down about that far, and can get a full rotation, though you do have to be careful not to bang it against the shoulders. Speaking of the shoulders, forward-facing hinge, as well as a ball joint. The arm inside is on a separate thing. It can kind of move forward and back a little bit separate of the shoulder, and can come out about 90 degrees. There is, of course, a bicep swivel for about 80 degrees of movement in there. It's because the hoses on the back of the arm bang against everything. There's a double jointed elbow, and the bottom joint on mine is way looser than the top one, but the top joint can get 90 degrees, and then you get a full bend out of it. Well, as much as you could anyway, given how bulky the shoulders are. And the hands, as always, are on a ball joint. The torso has two ball joints in it, though not much of a rotation, just because of how it's done. There's a ball joint up here that kind of wiggles a little bit, and there's one very far set in the waist for a decent kind of front hinge-ish. It's not crazy. The front skirts can be separated, though they do come connected. Side skirts don't really move much at all. Back skirt is solid. The hips are on the usual pivot side to side, and the hip itself is just a universal joint, so nothing really to talk about there, completely uninhibited. There is a double joint at the knee for over 90 degrees at least, and the ankles are okay. So the articulation is great. It's a modern-ish kit. That's kind of what's expected for Bandai. I will say some of the joints on mine are weirdly loose. Not floppy, just not nice feeling. Now, getting into the accessories, let's start off, as always, with sticker sheet and, by extension, color correction. I'm going to be here a little while. I used the two cameras, the one for the rifle and the mono eye. I also used this for the scabbard on the bean saber. Otherwise, that is black for the mono eye. These ones go on the chest, that one's for the crotch. And those are yellow on the feet, but we'll go over that in a second. I went with the line art colors, which are almost identical aside from this being black instead of just outlined, and there not being any yellow on the feet. Aside from that, the paint on this isn't actually that bad. Like I said, it's the mono eye. The gray in here needs to be painted, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not too bad. Black on the chest, here and here. Black in these, and that, and this, and all the black along the sides here. The vents on the leg need both the yellow and the black painted on both the insides and the outside. The black on the inside of this, and I mean panel lining, that doesn't really count, does it? Black here, here, black and yellow on these, which is a little bit annoying because they're so inset, and the black and yellow in there. Oh, and the black and yellow on the back of the leg as well, and the black on these lines. Sounds like a lot, but it's not really. Aside from that, you just need to paint the silver and black on the rifle, which isn't that bad. The color separation on the R-Jarja is actually pretty nice. I do wish they had done a little bit more yellow color separation, especially since these are all unique runners anyway, but I can deal with it. Now, getting into the accessories themselves, you get 2 holding hands and a left splayed hand, which is notably different looking from these ones, but it's not a huge deal. Aside from that, you do get the beam rifle that I was talking about before, which has a heat bayonet on it. These are actually color separated, which is, yeah, okay, high grade with actual color separated weapon. Oh, and this can collapse because it can store, but we'll get into that in a second. And we're getting into it. This piece can just slide on right here, and then you can store this on the back of the shoulder. There. Yeah, it's as silly as it looks, but weapon storage, can't complain, I guess. And aside from that, the final accessory is the beam saber itself, which is a unique blade piece, which is flat and very wide. You can pull this out, pull off the little holder, which is, this piece is literally just so that I can store in there. And plug that in. Surprisingly solid, all things considered. Doesn't want to fall out, at least. And there's a little bit of squareness up at the top of the handle, so it doesn't actually rotate in the hand. I've put this in the hand before, it holds completely solid. I totally didn't forget about the shields. Yeah, this can move up out of the way so that the whole thing can rotate around to the front. This can rotate, but it's very tight, so I'm going to leave it. And then you get the articulated shields, which is nice. It has a hinge and a peg up here, which again is very tight, so I'm not going to be moving it too much. I will say, very nice for them to include the highly articulated shields on this. They don't get in the way at all of posing. And finally, we need to go over all the leftover parts for this thing. I'm going to assume these are from the Bandai Twilight Access version. Basically, it's just the shoulders are considerably worse because they don't have as much articulation. Aside from that, it's completely identical. As for a quick size comparison, it is average height for a double Zeta unit. The spikes do add a lot of extra height, but the actual unit size is pretty much average. So, to wrap this review up, man, I'm happy to finally have this kit. It did not defy my expectations. A little bit more paint than I was expecting, but that's not a big deal. I'm very happy to finally have Chara soon's suit. Well, one of them. Anyway, we're never getting a game off. This is a really nice kit and does the suit justice. If you were interested in picking it up, I have no objections. Also, I do want to point out real quick, the Sazabi really apes a lot of the design philosophy from this thing. The feet, the legs, the hip skirt to an extent. The only thing it doesn't really copy is the shoulders. If you slap the Sazabi shoulders on this thing, it would basically be more of a Miss Sazabi than the actual Miss Sazabi. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.